Good evening. Calling the Board of Selectmen meeting for January 28th, 2025, 6:34 p.m. Calling it to order. First thing on the agenda is our secretary's report. We have to approve minutes from two regular meetings, January 14th and December 10th. So January 14th, 2025, December 10th, 2024, and two special meetings, December 10th, 2024, and January 17th, 2025. So
I have one correction to make to the January 14th regular meeting, and that's in item 4 under the Firehouse Building Committee. We did not have the suggestion of an alternate at that time, so it should say looking at a total of 7 members. Okay. We had the alternate at the January 17th meeting. I'm fine with the rest of the minutes, so I make a motion that we approve the January 14th minutes as amended and approve the December 10th regular meeting minutes and the special meeting minutes of January 17th and of December 10th.
Second.
Okay, second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first audience of citizens. Looks like we have quite a few people here. Would anyone like to address the board at this time? 2, 4, 6.
Would this be the time we would ask or talk about the fire department building committee, or wait until after you guys discuss it in the end of the meeting at audience?
Well, we do have it on our agenda at number 5.
Yes, I understand that, but do we ask, at that point, your appointments are done, correct or no?
We can always unappoint, and we can always table an appointment. So if you'd like to speak, this would probably be a good time.
Okay.
Yeah.
My question is, how did you come about building the committee for the firehouse with only 1 fire department member on it out of 7? What was the process in getting to that?
Well, we met probably 3 or 4 times, and we had quite a lot of very talented people in the town. Our initial meetings, some of the advice we got was not to put end users on the committee. So we did start our discussion with that in mind. And then we listened to some of your feedback at different meetings. When you came in, we did reach out to other fire departments. So we did, in the consensus was we came up with 2 people. We thought somebody from the fire commissioners would also be looking out for the fire department. So I think in my mind at least, we felt the 2 people on here did represent the fire department, and then our alternate was someone that one of the fire commissioners said he traveled a lot, so he asked if we could have an alternate. So then we did choose another fire department member. So that's my thought process, and I can let Catherine and Dwayne speak to how the discussion came up. And
I think you represented it clearly. We started out with feedback on having no firemen on it, and we had multiple discussions and felt we wanted firemen on it, and that's how we came to that. We definitely wanted a fire department viewpoint, and we believe that with 2 out of 7, this will give us that.
anything else to
That's
add?
basically what it came about.
Yeah.
Well, for the record, it's 1 out of 7. You have 1 fire department member on the committee, 1 fire commission member who is a citizen, not a fireman. A very good commission member and our chairman. So for the record, you have a total of 7 people on a building committee to build a firehouse, and 1 person from the fire department representing that. A recommendation made that we are an end user and should he be part of the committee. It would be interesting to know where that would come from, whom it would come from. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, in my opinion. And again, in my opinion, I think it's pretty sad for a fire department building committee, or any building committee such as that, but we'll say this fire department building committee, we have 1 fireman on it, and that's it, and 1 fire commission member. And I do not agree with it.
You're concerned that a fire department input would not be shared with this structure? Is that your concern?
My concern is that a committee of 7 people, and we put you, the three of you, put one fire department member on a committee of 7 to build a firehouse.
So I will just add to this, and then I think I would say first that there have been multiple times you've come to many meetings. There's been a whole row of you at all of these meetings. There have been one-off communications. There's been presence at the special meetings. Everybody has a role to play. We are the selectmen. We took it very seriously. We discussed it at length, and this is what we decided upon. So we respectfully hear that you have a different point of view, but this is where this board came out with its selections. I do believe that these meetings will be open to the public, and that they will be run, and they will, as they form themselves, there will be points for specific input, and it may, I don't know how it will work out depending on what's coming in, but as the project plan is run, there will be ample input for needs of the fire department, regardless of whether there were 1, 2, or 5 on there. The fire department's needs will be communicated. So I hope you will accept that, and also accept the fact that we have heard you respectfully, but this group did make a decision.
I guess I want to echo the same sentiment from the chief as well, that it's disappointing that there's a board of fire commissioners in this town that through the town ordinances and charters are tasked with overseeing the fire department, overseeing the operations, the equipment, the facilities. And really, we would have expected or anticipated, we did anticipate that the Board of Selectmen would, in collaboration with the Board of Fire Commissioners, look at the makeup of this committee. However, it's felt very much like we were kept at bay and at arm's length. Yes, we've made it a point to be at all the meetings. We've provided a lot of intel about multiple departments around the state. I'd love to know who you spoke with that have ongoing multi-million-dollar projects that shared with us that their process was collaborative with the town hall as a fire department and as a board of fire commissioners in developing the building committee. Most of those committees had a majority of firefighters, past firefighters, fire chiefs as end users, because they are the ones who provide the input and also have different types of expertise that they bring to the table. And that was shared here as well. But the whole process just really did not feel collaborative at all with the Board of Fire Commissioners. I think that's a major concern for us as well, and my viewpoint. So.
And to add as well, as I just had a meeting with our trustees who are trying to get a meeting set up with you, Carol, to sign the deed over to the house that is owned by the Fire Department Incorporated, that we have over $300,000 of our own money invested into that in order to make this project happen, which the project would not happen on that piece of property if it wasn't for the membership buying that house 15 years ago and putting it in writing in our meeting minutes to sign that property over, sign the deed over to the town of Deep River when and if the project was ever voted on to go forward. I've instructed the trustees to get that meeting set up with you and get that property signed over. You know, and it's very sad to see everything that's going on here, how we got to this. And just like Adam said, the process in picking this committee, myself as the fire chief, as a Board of Fire Commission member by default, just like Adam said, we felt like we were, you know, to stay out, to not have any input at all in the process of seeing the other individuals that have interest in this project. I don't know these people that are even listed in this agenda. I know a couple of them. I don't know their background, none of that. And we were, as a department, as a fire commission member and Board of Fire Commissioners, we were held away. And I think it's pretty sad. You know, and at the end of the day, this committee that you're going to be discussing in a couple minutes here is made up and it has one fireman on it, and that's me. That's all I got.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, moving on, number 4, appointments and reappointments and removals. The first reappointment is Tom Metcalf to the Department of Deep River Housing Authority. Term is 5 years, 2/1/2025 to 1/31/2030. Did you both have a chance to reach out?
I did, I had a great conversation. I think we should reappoint him.
Okay.
So I make a motion that we reappoint Tom Metcalf to the Deep River Housing Authority for the term as shown here.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, appointment of John Cunningham as an alternate to the Connecticut Gateway Commission, term to expire July 1st, 2026. He will be helping out, serving in the capacity of alternate if Jerry Roberts could not fulfill his role, attend a meeting, whatever. Jerry would like to have been here tonight. He has COVID, so he
Oh,
said he
dear.
wasn't able to come.
Yeah.
But 2 people did recommend John, and I know you had a chance to reach out to him.
Had a good conversation with him. I think he brings some great skills for this, as well as very strong interest in, positive interest in preservation. So I move that we appoint John Cunningham as an alternate to Connecticut Gateway Commission, term to expire July 1st, 2026.
Second.
Did you have a chance to,
I'm good.
yeah, okay. So all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the appointment of Jessica Langston to the EDC. We had reached out to the chair of the EDC and hadn't heard back, so we're just going to table Jessica until we hear back from Stacy, okay? Tabled. Okay, and then we have some removal of some folks that were appointed to the Sustainable Committee, and we want to thank them for their contribution. They worked very hard on that, and they helped the town get the silver certification, but they can no longer serve in that capacity, just time constraints. So we need to remove Anita Digg, Jonathan Kasner, Catherine David, and Anthony Joya from the Deep River Sustainable Committee. And again, thank you for your service. So can I have a motion to do that?
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next on the agenda, number 5, appointment of the Firehouse Building Committee. So the Board of Selectmen, after much consideration, has determined the committee will consist of 7 members and 1 alternate, who will serve for the duration of the project plus 6 months. And we do want to thank all the residents. We heard from quite a few that wanted to serve, and that just shows how volunteering is the backbone of Deep River, and we do appreciate it, because this is a long haul, so it was quite a commitment. These will be public meetings. We expect a lot of people in attendance. I know somebody from the Board of Selectmen will probably always be at a meeting. Board of Finance will be there. I imagine quite a few of the firemen will be there. And I think there's going to be a lot of input to make this project very successful. Right now, we have determined that we have 1 alternate. The town clerk has informed me that if at any time we feel we need to add more alternates or to adjust our committee, that's always something we can come back to do. But as it is proposed, we had come up with these 7 members and 1 alternate, which was a consensus of the selectmen. We have Zachary Mackold, Miriam Morrissey, Alan Parody, Nick Kornacki, Dave Berardis, Timothy Lee, and Larry Stewart, with the alternate being Adam Carroll.
And the alternate was to replace Dave Berardis due to his travel schedule.
Right, but I thought last we talked, it was that Adam would fill in for anyone that was
A floating
a
alternate.
floating alternate.
Okay.
So we expect Adam to be at meetings, and like planning and zoning, if a member's not there, Adam would be officially like sat, or,
Got it. Thanks.
that's the
Well,
term.
hearing, I mean, I know it's on the agenda. I know we've agreed it at our special meeting, but hearing again from the firemen, and I respect what they come here for. And I think I did mention it at our last, when we had our executive session, to raise the number of the committee. Is that something that we would look at, entertain? 1 more resident and put Adam instead of an alternate on as a person. And I think I brought that up at our meeting there, at executive session there
Well, we did certainly
So-
kick around the number of, but I think our fear was we didn't want to get too big, because then it gets cumbersome, decisions aren't made quickly because too much discussion.
I don't think nine's over, I mean, I just served for the past year on the mold committee, and we had over 9.
You had over 9.
So,
I'd be more comfortable the way we have it from what we discussed and ended up at our multiple meetings and get started on this. And if once a chair is formed, if they come back and they're saying we have a need, we don't have enough input or we don't have enough people, then to add at that time. But I'd like to suggest we move forward with what we had decided.
okay, well, I hear what the firemen are saying. I mean, yes, at least myself, we think that Dave is a fireman, but he is a commissioner, which, yes, he's tied to the fire department, but he is not a rank and file fireman. And so,
Right.
as
And I
as
think that
chief,
is what we thought.
as the chief
Yeah.
said, you know, we're giving him one spot. And again, I said that last week at our special meeting there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, put Adam as a member and not as an alternate. And I know we
Then
usually
you
want
have
to.
Dave as the alternate?
Put Dave as an alternate, or again, you usually don't want an even number on a committee, but I think I said have 8 people that day also. So,
How would you feel about, because Dave travels a lot, putting Dave as the alternate and putting Adam as the regular member?
I would have no problem with that.
I don't have a problem with that. I think Dave actually communicated he'd prefer that.
Okay,
So I'm comfortable with that. I'd just like to try it with this number till we get it going and move it on.
okay. So I'll take a motion to move Adam to Dave Berardis' spot, and then put Dave Berardis in the alternate spot. So that would serve, the committee for regular members then would be Zachary, Miriam, Alan, Nick, Adam, Tim Lee, and Larry Stewart, alternate Dave.
So moved.
Okay?
I'll second it, but again, I'd like to have as the committee gets working,
Definitely.
have them look at it, have whoever the chairperson is, have them look at it. And again, 9 people isn't bad. You know, if you said 12 people, 15 people, I'd definitely say no, but 9 people after just serving on a committee for the past year, 9, because every week you aren't going to get everyone there.
Very true. Okay.
You know, and so when there's important decisions that have to be made, and 3 people are out of town, or 2 people are sick, or whatever it may be, you know, it puts the burden on the 5 people that are at the meeting. So 9 people would be fine, but I wouldn't want anything more than 9. But let's get started with 7,
Okay, so Russell made the
second.
and then I seconded it
Okay.
in the notes, because then discussion,
Yeah.
we're going to say Gates would consider up to 9.
Up to 9.
But I like Catherine's approach of, let's get the committee meeting, and whoever is chosen as chair, if all of a sudden they have a few people that aren't showing up regularly or something.
Or they need extra skills.
Or they need
may
extra
find they need
skills,
extra
right.
skills once they get into this.
Okay. All right, so all those in favor as presented then?
Aye.
Okay, so all boards and commission meeting, I just wanted to say the recap of that meeting, it went great. We had about 30 people show up. I think 18 or so of our boards and commissions were represented. A lot of good collaboration, a lot of good give and take. We had Russell Blair from the Connecticut Freedom of Information office came down, and our town clerk presented, went over how to file an agenda, what to take for minutes, those kind of things. So it was very well received, and people would like us to do it more regularly, so we'll definitely do that. Animal Control Officer news. There is a vacancy now for a part-time position. It's a regional animal care attendant. And they're just looking for, it's again through Essex, but because we're a regional animal control office now, she would also be helping out Deep River, basically by if any animals are in the shelter, they're looking for someone that could be an animal care attendant, very part-time if there's animals. If there's no animals, there might not be any work. Maybe you're in there cleaning the kennel or something. But we have found when we've had large seizure of animals, our animal control officers spend quite a lot of their day caring for the animals in the morning, going back to care for them in the evening, that sort of thing. So they're looking for someone that would come in and be very part-time. So just wanted to put that out there if anyone's looking. You can find this on the Our Town website as well, but Essex has posted it.
Now, is this filling a vacancy, or is this a new position?
It's a new position. And again, it'll just be very part-time, depending on if they have animals that need care.
And then so that money would trickle back to us, it would cost us more money, correct?
It's going to cost a little more, but
Okay.
our animal control officer, yeah.
Okay, no, just,
Because we now have Westbrook on board, so it really shouldn't hit our pocketbook too much because it's part-time, but we will see moving forward.
Do we have to take it up with the Board of Finance? Or will it be a budget adjustment, or what have we got?
I think right now, no. We had a meeting yesterday with the other two selectmen, all three selectmen, Westbrook, Chester, and Essex, and at this point, the money is there.
Okay.
Maybe moving forward, if they want to see how it works out, because our animal control officers are using up a lot of their valuable time, if there's a lot of animals in the kennel. So,
okay, thank you.
yeah. Municipal solid waste disposal site update. I just wanted to give an update. We've been meeting regularly. Right now, it looks like our contract with Mirror at the Essex transfer station is going to end the end of June. Our Mirror contract goes for 1 more year, but the contract with the Mirror site is up. So it looks like the other 11 towns have all decided we should stick together and price out our municipal waste together for a volume discount, basically. And right now, Essex is looking to keep kind of the regional facility there, but we'd have to have, it would be different than run by the Mirror, through the state. So it would be a different private person. So we don't have the prices yet. We're hoping to get that soon.
Carol, how does that work? These extra towns, are they processing there now, or are we going to be bringing in extra towns to process?
Well, Norm has reached out to a couple of the contractors, or the haulers, and he's just trying to get a price. Now, basically, once we all contract with them, then they are free to maybe look for other haulers to come in so they get more volume down there, but that wouldn't be.
I guess my only concern is I'm wondering, is there going to be an impact on Route 154?
More traffic.
Or, Lord help me, on Union Street, or...
There could be, but because the reason that it was cited there anyway, because you're right off the exit, so it really is the best place in our region that for us. Otherwise, we're looking at hauling our waste to either New London or Berlin, I believe, or Hartford. So
I'm just wondering
That's our
if someone
guys
can look at it for
trucking
traffic.
our stuff
That's
up
all.
there.
And I understand the proximity to Route 9, which is great. Is there anything we need to look at, planning and zoning need to look at with reference to traffic? That's my only question.
I don't think they can anticipate that until because if it's the 11 towns now, they all get right off Route 9, go straight across. There's not a lot of back roads travel for the towns. So, I mean, that's a valid, question, but I don't know at this point if we'd be able to determine that.
Right.
I have a question.
If you could wait till audience of citizens.
Okay.
We're almost there. We're almost there. Actually, that's the
There
next
we go
thing.
there. Yeah.
All right, so that's all. So I just wanted to keep you in the loop. We don't know our prices yet. We're hoping to keep it lower and then lock into like a 3-year price or something. So. Okay, moving on to audience of citizens. So go ahead, sir. Can you state your name for the record?
It's Angelo DiPietro.
Okay.
I'm a town resident. And I would like to know how our company could get involved in the bidding process. Because I work for Eastern Transfer Station,
Oh, okay.
and we are looking to serve the town of Deep River, and if we have to service we are servicing other towns. And we're located right here, and we hire people from Deep River.
I do know you've given a price to like Old Saybrook, and because those were presented at one of the Mueller meetings that we had. So I can talk to you, then I'll reach out and get a price. That would be great.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Could I get a list of the other towns also from you?
Sure, they're all actually on the website under the
Okay.
Mirror. There's 11 towns, but I can certainly give that to you.
Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else?
The building committee, firehouse building committee, how do you anticipate it getting started? Who appoints the chairman? Does the committee themselves have a first meeting and that's when that will happen?
Typically, we were just talking, there was a company that offered to come in and kind of just give us a little guidance that I talked to at the CCM convention, and he just gave me 3 dates. So we thought that would be a wonderful way to kick it off. The Board of Selectmen are there, maybe the Board of Finance, the committee, and this representative from a project management company
Okay.
offered to come in. But typically, the committees do choose their own chairperson. They also choose their own meeting times. Again, we expect at the beginning, maybe you're meeting more than, certain times of the project, maybe you're meeting more frequently.
So we should expect an email from you or from Tina to get it kicked off with dates?
Yes, we'll
for
do
the
that
special
tomorrow,
meeting.
because I have the
Okay.
3 dates. And again, I don't know if people are more available in the evenings. This gentleman gave me dates that are all kind of in the afternoons, so perhaps I'll have to do that.
Okay.
And since I'm going to ask back to the audience of citizens, what do you think about the switch we made? Is that something that is a little more appealing to
It's a
or
little more
satisfying?
appealing. I'd hoped that the alternate would have been made by, would have been one of the other members, and David could have stayed as a full member, and myself and Adam, and one of the other townspeople be the alternate, but
Well,
it's just my opinion.
yeah, I mean, Catherine touched on it. This was a really tough decision. We all came to the table with different, but some of the people on there, we have a civil engineer, we've got project management, we've got somebody that does environmental management. Like the backgrounds of these people and their skill sets, we thought were so strong that they would make a very well-rounded committee, and that's what we were hoping. You guys do so much for the town, and we were just trying to give you all this great amount of professional experience to be sitting there. And they're going to all be looking to you for all those specifics that you need. So they're not taking anything away from you. They were just, we thought, a better for building a building. And they're going to be thinking about the elevations of the things, and they're going to be thinking about these things that you guys never will want to think about. You want to think about the end product, or whatever, how to get there. So some of the citizens that you don't know, or the residents, I think you're going to be very pleased with their backgrounds and what they bring.
Great.
Wouldn't you both say? Right? Anyone else, audience of citizens? We have a big group tonight. Steve, do you want to add anything tonight? Well, thank you for coming. I didn't put you on the agenda, sorry, I didn't know you were available, so appreciate it. All right, well, if no one else has anything. Oh, I have my
Update.
Board of Selectmen updates, let's see. A couple things. The appraisal for the Platwood properties. I talked to our assessor, she reached out to him yesterday. He figured sometime early next week he'd have something for us. So then we'll get those marketed and out. Digital sign is all up and going at Platwood, or Devitt, as you saw.
It looks great.
So if anybody in the community or any organizations have anything to post, please send them to my assistant or send them to me and I'll get them to Tina. But we're really pleased. It looks so nice, yeah. Solar array is live and our first payment should be coming in soon. We were going to get about $3,300. I'm not sure the number, but so we haven't got our first payment yet, but they did go live. Hazardous waste collections through RiverCog has all been established for the year. So if you have paper shredding or any hazardous chemicals or anything that needs to be disposed of, paint, paint thinners and solvents, that sort of thing, please dispose of it correctly and not in our landfill, up at the transfer station. So grab one of those, and again, the RiverCog has all the dates on there. Board of Commission meeting, we already talked about. And then the other thing was the Connecticut Education Network. I just wanted to point out to you, and I'll bring it up to the finance, but so we had them come out. They offer, through the state grant, they're offering really good price on internet connection. It started out as just through the schools years
Yeah.
ago, but now they want to grab all the public buildings. So they gave us a price that is probably half of what we're paying now to hook up the town hall. So
Just the town hall, or would it be?
just the town hall. The library is separate, and the librarians are going to consider that on their own. The school is already hooked up, Deep River Elementary, so I think we're going to move forward on that because it's quite a savings. So. Okay, I think that's all I had until then. I know we're going to talk at the Board of Finance meeting with a few things, but okay. So it is 7:04. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Hear ye, hear ye. This is the regular meeting of the regular January 2025 meeting of the Board of Finance. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the November 26, 2024 minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion to accept them?
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I do not know whether you have noticed, but what was the recording secretary who did the November meetings has chosen to resign. So we are once again relying on Jackie's kindness of Jackie. Thank you very much from the citizens of the town of Deep River and those who follow. The second item on our agenda is audience of citizens. We got a kick out of the phrase. Any business to come before this board? Hearing none, I shall move to the next item. Tommy, that is you.
Okay, I'm gonna put a throat lozenge in my mouth and a little hoarse, so sorry about that. Let's start off with, I handed out two actual town deposit reports. One is from the month that we did not have a meeting, December 24th, but I did put together deposit report as of 12/23/2024, and this one here today, January 27th, 2025. I don't know if anyone has any questions on that, but on the old one back in December. I just wanted to, actually, for general information, that there will be a pension committee meeting scheduled for next Wednesday, February 5th at 9:30 with Irie Wealth Management. This is the first meeting that's been scheduled with this company since the transition from Essex Financial to Irie Wealth Management. So I think everyone who usually attends those meetings has been notified. I know Carol for the Board of Selectmen, Bud for the Board of Finance. Let's see. Tim for the fire department. Pete for the union, local union, and myself. So we'll see everybody next Wednesday. Just going over the general fund accounts, if you look at what our balance is compared to last month, which would be the 12/23/2024 report, we're up about $466,321 from last month. I just wanted to, as far as rates have, this has been crazy lately, but our rates, if you go back to 11/25/2024, the rates were at 4.5%. Of course, the Fed has twice dropped their rates, so of course that's going to reflect deposit rates. Having said that, on our 12/23/24 report, Liberty was at 4.15%, Guilford Savings was at 4.25%, did go down to 4.05%, but I've been negotiating with Melissa Hurd from Liberty Bank and also Heidi Samuelson from Guilford Savings Bank. They're like the business banking relationship officers, and I've been able to negotiate our rates up to 4.25%, which shows here. So I'm going to keep plugging away, but I can't promise anything. But I kind of put one against the other, so they're giving us the same rates at 4.25%, which is still very good. Our capital improvements borrow account that shows up here with a balance of $770,429.42. That, if you remember, that's our kind of a holding account from monies that were borrowed from loan proceeds on June 8th, 2022, which was originally $1,425,000. So no disbursements have been made in the last couple of months on that particular account, but we have picked up interest of $3,726.85 for a total of the 2 months. There's still left about $654,000. Well, that's been dispersed, but we still have the $770,000 that still has to be dispersed. Our ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act account, from the last 2 months, there's been a little movement on that account. We've dispersed $58,947.88. So our balance right now, you see, is at $469,152.16. If you remember, the original amount that we received was $1,314,908.44. So again, we're down to about $469,000 that's left to be dispersed. Wire transfers, I've made a total of 4 wire transfers in the last 2 months, totaling $3,600,000. 2 were made in, actually, the first 2, one was on 11/25 to 2024 for $1 million, and then on 12/16/24 for another $1 million. That was actually from Liberty Bank, from our money market account that went into our Citizens Bank General Fund. And then in January 3rd, I made a $1 million transfer, and on the 17th, a $600,000 transfer. So those 2 actually, so total of $1,600,000. That was from the Citizens Bank General Fund back into the Liberty Bank money market account, so we can, most of the monies that were wired are actually from tax revenues that have been received. Our Education Equalization Grant, our ECS monies, for fiscal year 7/1/2024 to 6/30/2025, we had $1,676,105 that we received. The money is actually in 3 installments for the fiscal year. The first one was received on October 31st, 2024 for $419,026.25. That's 1/4% of the monies available, and we're going to be receiving at the end of this month, January 31st, our second installment for the same amount. And then the final installment, which is 1/2 of the monies, will be allocated on 4/30/2025 for $838,052.50. Excuse me. Our total balances, if you look at the bottom, we have $9,123,445.69. After you take away the capital improvement borrow amount and the ARPA funds, that leaves us $7,883,864. That's up from last month of about $500,000. It's $495,559. However, if you look at where we were last year at the same time, we're down about $611,105. I do think with one more week in this end of January, we'll be actually getting a lot of money as far as our tax revenues. So this should be a banner week, which will definitely make up that difference. We have 3 upcoming bond issue payments. The first one is our sewer construction bond, the Clean Water Fund project, which we pay out monthly. Every month we pay out $16,914.76. That's principal and interest. That was originally $3,375,000. That was when it began 20 years ago, in 2006. When we make this payment at the end of January, our balance will be $250,370.21. So we have 15 payments that remain on that bond issue. That'll be paid in full on April 30th, 2026. So that's the closest one that we have to maturity. Two other payments are coming up in February 15th. They're both interest payments. Our capital improvement borrow account and our energy upgrade account. And both of those we pay principal once a year in February, and we pay interest twice a year in August and August 15th on both of those. So the capital improvements borrow, that interest amount will be $18,525. And on the energy upgrade, the interest due is $1,938.75. That's about it.
Remind me, the capital, clean water, 20-year borrow?
Yes, that was a 20-year borrow, but
That was to finance, you don't have to remember, that was to finance what, one of the lines?
that was actually the, well, it was called the Clean Water Fund Project. It was one of the 3 sewer projects that we had. That was.
It wasn't the initial funding of the facility, right? That's my understanding. That's my understanding to myself.
Yes.
I'm asking you to confirm.
Yes.
It is not.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was.
It was?
I think that's, hold
We
on.
financed the entire sewer line in 2006, the
Hold on.
facility itself?
Wait a minute.
You don't have to know. I told you that right from the start. You didn't have to know.
That was 10/30/2006. And the other two were, one was 12/17/2016 and 6/23/2017. So that is the original project.
I thought we did that back in the 80s. Something, okay, got it.
I mean, as far as the existing bond issues that we have, that's the oldest one. That's, again, it goes back to 2006.
Okay, and I just was curious what to use the proceeds for. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Any questions for Tom? Out of curiosity, Tom, you can answer this, or Anne Marie. Is the capital improvement borrow fund always going to be called 2022, or is that just carryover? Is that the official name?
I don't think
And
the
it's
bank,
fine if you do. I mean, that sort of puts a stake in the ground when we began that work.
I don't think the bank statement says that, if that's what you're asking.
Seems like it.
For which one?
The capital borrow, the 2022 capital borrow.
Oh,
Sorry.
Just how you have it named on your sheet over here.
oh yeah, okay.
I just wonder if it's capital, more than adequate to say capital improvement. All good, all good. All right. Thank you, Tom. Hope everyone has a question for Tom. Recommendations to selectmen. Carol, all you.
Yeah, I apologize, I didn't see your agenda. Can I just borrow the agenda? In case you're gonna talk about something that we're gonna talk about. Oh, yeah, okay. So number 7, discussion of financing your firehouse and fire trucks, okay. We'll add our 2 cents when we get there, so I won't bring that up. I was gonna introduce our chair of our Park and Rec, but he is not here. He was looking to, Parks and Recreation is very interested in utilizing some of the salary line of their department that wasn't used. So right now, that would be about, it should be at least 50% spent, it is not. So they're looking to maybe take the 20,000, if you will, I didn't do the exact math, and spend it on a program, which would be the Music Fest. They would like to keep that going and scale it down. They've learned a lot after doing it 1 year. We did check with the auditors, and it was okay to do that. Totally up to the Board of Finance to make that decision. But I asked Chris to come tonight and present it. He is not here, so I'm presenting it on behalf of the Park and Rec Commission. But it is a Board of Finance decision. But that is what that commission was hoping to do. Utilize some of the money that is in their line, but just in a different way. So we'll put that out there. We can discuss it now or in a minute. and then I can go through a couple other things. So what do you want to do?
You are presenting that in Chris's stead or
Yes.
as a recommendation from the selectmen?
In Chris's stead. The Board of Selectmen did not talk about it because I feel it's a Board of Finance decision.
I think it is a Board of Finance decision as well. Let's put it into a context. They are not asking for an increase in their budget. We have been trying to focus on the bottom line, but it is a movement within their budget.
So I brought this to the auditor's attention. As Bud is stating, under state statute, we really do manage to that total park and rec line. It is technically under that statute within their purview to reallocate dollars within that department. However, given the significant move that this would be in that $20,000 to $25,000 range, the auditors felt it was prudent to have the Board of Finance opine on it. And because it really differs from what was presented to the town at the budget presentation that they voted on.
So anyone else can jump in. I wish to compliment Chris on recognizing he has a budget, he has money in there and putting it to good use. So there's the positive side. Here's a straw man to come up with an alternative. We're virtually at the end of this budget. This is the 7th month. We're almost finished this budget. If this board, if the Park and Rec wants to initiate a new concert program, they should put it in their budget and come to us during the budget where we compare everything everyone is asking for and make a selection of which ones we want. I suggest that if you reflect back on this budget, there's a lot of things we decided not to put in this budget. And if we are aware that there's an additional amount of money, we may be able to use it to fund some of those. If we do not decide in this calendar year to do that, it will drop down to surplus and be available to us in future years. That's a straw man, folks. You may tell where I lean, but does anyone wish to discuss this in any further degree? It's not on our agenda, but since Carol has initiated, the selectmen will consider it on our agenda. Anyone wants to take a action on the request?
Just in terms of an opinion on it, if it's,
You can do anything you like. Opinions are good.
If it's
Actions,
extra
if you
money.
like your opinions so much, you can make it into a recommendation, but yes.
but if it's extra money within the budget that can be used somewhere else where we need it, may need it for something else, and the music festival is a great feast for the town, but they also have the muster, which is in those lines, so I don't think that it's a necessary addendum, and I think that the money maybe could be put to more provident use.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
I agree. I think that we took ARPA money away so we could spend it elsewhere so that we weren't supporting these. And I mean, we both voted on a salary line. This is operations, and I think to start moving that money around does not feel comfortable to me.
Anyone wish to take any action to bring this to a vote?
So what happens if we do nothing?
Then we've done nothing.
Then it just stays there and becomes surplus at the end of this budget.
It becomes surplus at the end of this budget, or we have an awareness, there is dollars there that if we would like to identify needs, we could move it in future meetings. But yes, to your point, it will drop down to surplus and be available to us. Carol, as speaker, do you wish to offer a counter to any of these conversations?
No, because I'm not speaking as the first selectman or the board of, I'm not speaking as the Board of Selectmen. I talked to the chairperson of the Park and Rec who asked if he could present this, and I said the Board of Finance has to make the decision. So I'm just being the deliverer of the message, the conveyor of the message. So it is your decision.
Excellent. Or no decision, I think is what we've come up with. All right? Carol, you're still at bat.
Okay.
Excuse me, just
so
for a second.
Firehouse construction.
For the minutes, what am I putting down?
That it was raised, the concept of taking unused salary monies and using it for an alternative project. Board of Finance discussed and took no action.
Thank you. Sorry, Carol.
No, that's okay. The firehouse construction, we were going to talk about, we all sat through that presentation earlier. So, but I'll wait till you get to number 7 on your agenda. You can chime in then. We did have a company come in and that performs cost reduction analysis, and we just wanted to bring that to your attention, that we're still investigating if we have to do an RFP or if there's other companies that do what this gentleman proposed that they do. So something to look forward to, but it'll definitely be a savings for the town, so it won't be anything that.
Could you expand, I was in that meeting,
Oh, yeah.
could you just expand, it was a grand idea. Could you
It's a great
expand on
idea.
what the concept was about?
Well, so Catherine and I were at a Chamber of Commerce meeting, and there's always some great community leaders there, business leaders, and so this gentleman, and Catherine got speaking. Catherine invited him in. Do you want to pick up the ball?
Thank you. He's a consultant. It's a company called Schooley Mitchell, and they focus in a lot of areas. We got talking about nonprofit and municipal. They come in on a contingency basis, and they will look at various cost categories. And one of them that our eyes lit up on was telecom, because we know we have pretty high telecom costs. So the way they work, they come in, and there's an arrangement over a series of years, 3 years, and the savings are split. And if there are no savings, they get nothing. But they come in and they'd be working under Anne Marie's direction, except they'd be extra work. They'd be doing the work. So it's not like Anne Marie has to get roped in on something. They'd be doing the work. And it was a very engaging concept because we did not have to expend any money. We had an opportunity for savings. So as Carol said, where we left it, we have a process where you triple bid everything, but they don't appear to have peers. They have large consulting firms that charge a fee going up front. So I guess we need a couple more weeks to figure out if there are any peers, and then probably be ready for the next Board of Selectmen meeting to look at it. But did you like the idea?
I like the idea of someone saving us money. I like the idea that we have amongst ourselves talked about things could be done in telecommunication. Seems like they should be done. He was offering that's one of their specialties, so
Exactly.
there's an appeal.
And they have other aspects, but that
That
was
was the
the
biggest
one
one
that
for
would
us.
seem to be just
So more to come.
overpaying.
I think that is wise. Cool, excellent.
Okay, and we haven't had a town meeting yet, so what I wanted to do is wait till we had more to put on the agenda. So if you're going through the financials in a little bit, you'll see that the town building line is way over. So we have not moved that 38,000 yet that you approved at your, one of your last meetings. But that has to go before the board, the town to do that. So just wanted to point that out, and if we can get like the ordinance here for the goods and services, the procurement, if we have a couple other things to put on the agenda for that town meeting, I thought that would be better than just one thing. ARPA money, all the contracts were executed by December 31st. Great job, kudos to Anne Marie, literally handing me piles of stuff to sign, so we made everything, so we didn't have to give any money back to the state, so that was good. And then for everyone's knowledge, so not really a discussion at this point, but I am looking to do a grant application for a steep grant, and we do have to commit to some matching funds at some point. So more to come on that. I don't have the price of the project or the project actually nailed down, so
Very good.
I think that's it. Anything else, Board of Selectmen?
So Carol, all our ARPA money is gone, has been spent,
It's all been
allocated?
allocated and contracted for
Okay.
to be spent, but it's not all been put out the door yet.
Okay.
And what we agreed, picking up your point, what we agreed, we, Board of Finance, to send to a town meeting was to, help me out, rectify, replenish the funds we spent downstairs for your building funds, right?
Right, we spent about $38,000. downstairs, so we voted to move out of surplus 38,000, put it back into the
That what we're
town,
asking for, 30,000, okay.
town building line.
Did we attempt to remedy the overspend in the town crew due to,
That has already been taken care of.
that's already been taken care of,
Yeah.
okay. I thought it had been taken care of. But we have the pumps in contingency remain untaken care of.
They do. I put together all of the costs associated with the Oak Ridge project, and it was more than we had allocated to that capital project if we include the rental cost of the pumps.
Will you be sharing that with us?
I can do that. I had been waiting to get the final bills on the pumps before doing so, but I think we have finally officially cleared those out. Is that right? I feel like I keep seeing Xylem bills.
Oh, yes, the silent bills, yeah. And we actually still have a little ongoing with that Oak Ridge property that we might need to be asking for another allotment of money or something, but we have to still figure that out. So we'll be coming back to you maybe at the next meeting.
The staggering phrase, asking for a lot more money.
Well-
All right.
There's potential legal action or something, so it's up in the air. It's still discussed with the selectmen and the homeowner, so we'll be coming back with a number.
Are you concerned about that contingency being so overspent? Should we be rectifying that this meeting, next meeting? Let's do it next meeting if you're concerned. How about that?
I think so, and I don't think that's the right place for those pumps at this point, especially if they're gone and done. So we should put them elsewhere.
All right.
But
And you're
I will
tolerant
come-
of deferring that to next meeting?
Yes, I will
Okay.
come up with a game plan as to the best place for them.
All right. Sounds like fur is good. All right, Anne Marie, Carol is finished. I'm going to ask Anne Marie. It's all yours.
All right. So to start with an update on the new accounting system, you all received the first ever reports out of this system.
Beautiful, so much clearer.
Yeah, I'm glad I've gotten some pretty good feedback for the most part. Definitely some small changes. I would say the biggest one as far as disseminating or, taking in the information is we now have our revenues broken up into buckets, whereas before they were just kind of all in one big list. So now they're kind of categorized based on their source. So I personally find that very helpful.
Did you decide what buckets they should, groupings they're in?
I actually took this from the way we have laid out budget presentations in the past.
Good place.
And you'll note that the account numbers have changed. Not that this is super important to this board here, but Carol certainly has to deal with it every single day.
I was gonna say, that's my negative, because they've moved the things around and all the numbers are different. So now when I'm trying to code the bills, I'm back to square one.
But it does align much better with the Connecticut Uniform Chart of Accounts. So should the state ever decide to impress that more strictly on municipalities, we will not see the burden that other towns will. As far as operationally for us upstairs, it is a game changer to have this system in place, especially in dealing with vendors, folks calling us up asking, has this invoice been paid? It's much faster. All of our data is now integrated across all of our different views. We have invoice backup scanned directly into the system and attached to our transactions. So our auditors are absolutely thrilled. Just makes their lives a lot easier too. So, and it's also finally pushed me to get into a regular cadence with printing out reporting and having our dear check signers come in on the same day every week. So I'm trying to mitigate some of those lengthy payment timelines that we've had in the past. So overall, I'd say it's going great. It's certainly not done. I have a much more work to do on some historical data, but the lion's share of it is complete, and I'm very happy with it.
What's that mean? Are you gonna load in prior years?
Yes, we already loaded in our budget and actuals information for the 22-23 fiscal year. We're holding off on 23-24 until the audit is complete.
Makes sense.
And right now I have a sort of placeholder in here for all of our financial information through December 31st so that I could populate all of the numbers for this report. So once we go through the audit in the current fiscal year, I wouldn't be surprised if we tweaked things there too. But
You would just send a file over? I think you don't have to sit there and type each one in, do you?
adjusting the accounts? Well, no, I no longer have to do that. In the old system, I would have had to do that, but I can actually import journal entries directly from Excel now, which makes things a lot easier.
Who would have thought?
How far back in historical data do you have to go?
There's technically no rules. We'll still have access to our previous accounting system, and we'll keep that access forever. We'll pay for a perpetuity license to do that. But there were technically no rules. I just wanted to have at least 3 years for audit purposes to make things a little smoother.
We have historical years in our audits, don't we? 2 years?
We do, yeah.
How far, they have rules on that?
It's
2 years, 3 years?
it's at least two for budget. I can't remember if balance sheet is 3.
Okay, yeah. Okay, excellent. All good, thank you.
What's that cost for the licensing?
It's actually just the cost of 2 years, so it's under $10,000.
One-time payment.
One-time payment. Yes. Yes. Any questions on the system?
But kudos to you,
Yes, thank you.
working very hard, and you and Tara.
Yes, I could not have done any of this without Tara. She has been keeping this town afloat while I am head down making this system work. And I have on here discussion of the draft purchasing ordinance, which we did walk through at the last November meeting.
Does anyone need a copy? I need some copies.
I think I have it.
The major change that I made to this from last time was in regard to the emergency work, that it only needs to be deemed an emergency by the first selectman, as opposed to having to get the Board of Selectmen together to declare something an emergency. But other than that, I felt we kind of left things open-ended last time. Some issues have come up that this ordinance may be prudent to get in place sooner rather than later. Just to align us a little bit better with state purchasing guidelines, and our neighbors give us the flexibility to take advantage of financially advantageous situations for the town. So I just wanted to keep it on this agenda and make sure it was front of mind and answer any questions anyone may have now that they've had a little more time to review the information.
Well, at our last meeting, I think we had discussion around, and I know I felt that it was confusing when you said, we'll do this, and then you had all these exemptions, and it was a pretty lengthy list.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, I read it this morning, and I thought, wow, this is a lot clearer. And then I got the old one, I thought, geez, didn't make any changes. But with a little time, it seemed clearer, so.
I'm glad.
I still think it's a little obtuse, but I don't know any other way of going about delineating these two categories.
And that's the hard part. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say this is, my creative mastermind putting this together. This is research looking at various towns and their ordinances and charters and bylaws, and just like I said, some alignments with the state as well. So I take no credit for this or these suggested exemptions. These are not my ideas. But, since having put this information together, I do run into quite a few situations where they are relevant.
Thoughts anyone wish to share?
Next steps, do we need to approve it as a Board of Finance, and then the Board of Selectmen need to approve it, then it goes to a town meeting? Do you
I
know?
don't know that the Board of Finance needs to opine.
Okay.
I think the Board of Selectmen needs to recommend to move it to a town meeting if
Okay.
that is the.
So we'll put it on our agenda for our next meeting, and then we'll move it to a town meeting. And again, it can probably be on that town meeting where we're moving the money, or, that we have that on there. So.
I'm good. All right.
That's all I have.
Okay. It is number 7. It is my request that we take a moment and contemplate the obligations that we have, town has, but let's place it upon us to start the ball, to finance the firehouse and the fire trucks. If you remember, we have a base plan, which we put together before the town approved both the firehouse and the fire truck. And that base plan is that we would seek a 40-year fixed rate loan from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Prior to the referendum, both Carol and Anne Marie met with them and gave us positive feedback that that was something that they would think about doing. I worked with some folks at the U.S. Municipal Finance Officer Association in D.C., and they gave me great encouragement that this is the kind of thing that is best. To the fire trucks, the best thing to do is do with leases. My conversations with, let's call it 2 conversations in one sort of friendly phone call. They would be willing to go about 15 years on a fire truck. Based on those positive feedback, when I presented it to the town, we talked about we would use the USDA for 40 years, which does not allow for construction financing. We would need to get a working capital loan, and that we would finance the trucks for about 15 years. After the passage of the positive passing of both the firehouse and fire trucks, we have continued to meet with the USDA, talk with the USDA. They actually made a site visit, all of which continues to be a positive conversation. Tom has taken the lead in identifying, talking with, meeting with some local banks who would be willing to offer us construction financing. So I think all is going well. I have again talked to the 3 leasing companies, all of which, once we get specifications, would be willing to give us a bid. My hope is that we could get them to compete against each other and demonstrate and go with the lowest bid. So all is good is what I want to offer. Here is my concern. Let's start with the easy one. Overused phrase. Putting all your eggs in one basket. One source of financing, or maybe we'll talk 2 sources of financing. We should consider alternative sources of financing. So there's item 1, that's a generic. The other is, I'm concerned how I will say this. Washington is changing. Priorities in Washington are changing. They seem to be very concerned about holding down expenditures. They seem to be very concerned about Washington stepping back, putting obligations on state and municipal governments. With that in mind, it encourages me, maybe we should look at other types of financing. We have not had an updated conversation. The last time I sat and listened, USDA said they would, let's put it in a positive, they should be able to give us a yes or a yes. Let's put this in a positive. They would be willing to give us a yes sometime in August. Unless that has changed. Let's hold August. That, another concern, I'm concerned about all the things that have to be sequenced and how that's sequenced. Let me start with a premise. We will start nothing until we have financing. Unless anyone wishes to do it. Maybe we should revisit that in a moment. If they give us an okay in August, Tommy and others could go out and begin to negotiate with local banks, which would then give us a bridge between construction, final takeout bid. Then we could say to identify a profession, architects, begin to prepare detail bid documents. I have no idea how long that would take. I assume a while. Prepare those documents. Those who wish to bid would review those, take time to give us a bid. We would then review those bids. I guess, because I don't think I have much knowledge in this, we are truly at the end of the fall, if not into winter, which is no time, can I guess, it's no time to start construction. We would, if that is our sequencing, I don't think we would start work on that firehouse until next spring. All these are suppositions on my part, but that means we take on uncertainty of timing. I shared some of my concerns with fellow municipals, and they suggested what other municipalities have done is going out and issued a public bond. A public bond appears, at least the best information I have to offer to you is we could probably shave 50 basis points, 0.5% for those of you who don't talk finance talk, 0.5% off the cost of what the USDA would charge us. And for the longest while, I thought that was, actually I've only think about this for a month. So anyhow, I thought that was because it's a competitive market and they would share it. And I think that's true. Other than if you go from a 30-year, which is the maximum you can borrow in that market, to 40 years, maybe the extra 50 basis points was buying the extra 10 years. I don't know. All I wish to offer is I'm coming up against things I know in my experience. What I would like for us to talk about, consider, is hiring someone who is an expert in this business. Financing, government financing. I have sent you a proposal by a company called Munistat. Is that the same group? Not the same group, same name as the accounting department? What's the accounting system we're using? Munis, okay, Munistat. I guess those who specialize in doing things for municipalities like to put the Muni in there. And they have given me a proposal which I sent to you, $3,500. They will help us identify all sources, be able to analyze where they would fit in with us, what would best for us, have conversations with us. So I would like, if you would be willing to agree to that, like to bring them in to talking about how to analyze what is the best financing for us. That's my thoughts. Anyone wish to opine on at least my initial thoughts or actual requests, bringing in an expert to help?
Bad idea.
I think it's a great
money well
idea.
spent.
Yeah, and that
This is a
includes
big
state
ticket.
and federal bonds, state and federal funds.
You have introduced to me, and I was not aware, let's divide it up. I was not aware that the state would lend us money, nor have I heard of that. But yes, that would be part of those who do it all the time would bring in, and the cost. We could, instead of leasing, we could, if we issued a public bond, we could shape the bond and put both of those into the same bond. A lease gets expensive, right? Gets more expensive than what a bond does. I think we could save about 100 basis points, again, that's the way finance people, 1% on borrowing a lease. Putting them all together, shaping that pattern of payment, I'm not capable of doing that. So I'm asking if you are willing to, can we go out and ask these people to help us? If we decide to go with a bond, these folks could help us put that in place. But I need to, I'm doing these in hopefully a logical sequence. My calculation, if you do not pay this firehouse off over 40 years, pay it off over 30 years, we would put pressure on. You will pay less in total because your interest rates are lower, but you would be paying the same amount over a shorter period of time. My estimate, that's about $40,000 more that we would ask citizens to begin to pay for.
Per year.
Yes. Save the money, they would pay less, but they would have to pay more
For a
early.
longer time.
Early.
Right.
For a shorter.
So I'm asking for help. And we will bring people who do this for other towns in to talk to us, so.
With all that being said, Bud, what you just explained, would that move up the start date?
Sorry, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that would, 2 start dates we should talk about. Yes, that would give us, we could enter the market relatively quickly. We would have all that money ourselves in our bank account. And that would take some of the uncertainty of waiting for August. We could start those folks earlier. Remember, I am stating that I do not know these things certainly. That should be able to get started in the fall.
And that was the answer I wanted to hear, because if we go the other way and not break ground until next spring, now you know the price of material isn't gonna stay. It's gonna go up drastically, the concrete, the steel,
Correct.
the brick, and everything else.
Correct.
So what you're gonna save, you're gonna spend it back by
Correct.
waiting a year.
That's my assumption as well. I just think we need some more expertise to be able to definitely say that is the way it is worked. Yes, very true. So the agreement today was $3,500. Can I have a first, second conversation about it?
I move that we approve $3,500 for Munistat to help us with this process.
Okay, I have first, and I have a second. Thank you. Would anyone like to further discuss this? Hearing none?
Would hiring a consultant consider all sources
Yes.
of
Yes.
money for us?
Correct.
Because you said something about state bonds, and this is a list of bonds, approximately 30 bonds that Senator Austin has put in to the state for state bonding money. One is a bond authorizing bonds for the state for the design and construction of a shipbuilding facility in the town of Norwich. One is authorizing bonds to stabilize and renovate the facility of the Basra Fire Department. So for all of the towns she represents, she's put in an enormous list of bonds to be considered. So if this individual would consider
Yes.
our request for state bonding to fund our firehouse, our fire
Absolutely. Yes.
trucks,
Yes.
and the state bonds are at a very appealing rate of interest over other sources of bonding.
Certainly not stand alone, that is correct.
So
I know
I'm-
Carol has put on her weekly report that she meets with, certainly Renee, and I assume you meet with Norm from time to time, so some of these requests have
I was
already put
talking to
in.
him yesterday, and but I didn't do a formal request because, again, eggs in all the basket of the USDA. But waking up to that.
Is there a formal request if you wish to do, or do you
Yes.
just chat with your
No, there's a formal
representatives?
request. They need a lot of information, design, sort of the whole general scope of the job.
They
But
need
again, waking up
sort
to
of
that,
a final figure to put in for their bond request.
that, the federal news this morning, that it was like, oh, we gotta look at other.
There is still time to put in a bond request,
Mhm.
because it'll be before this legislature, this session, and there's still time to do that.
So I might just jump on that.
I would think jump on that. First thing we do is turn it down. Let's jump on it, that's exactly, so.
I mean,
Can
without
you-
waiting for the consultant.
Can you explain, this is bonding that the state would do, they'd run a bond and we'd get it free? If it
No,
goes through.
you pay the bond back.
Oh, all
It's a
right,
loan, but
okay.
it's a state
All right.
bonding
It's
loan.
a state bonding, so it
But
would
you
probably
pay
be
it back
better
less-
terms.
Right.
Or when you said, Bud, you do your own bond, that would be separate from a state bond, but conceptually it'd be not as good terms, we would think.
Conceptually. Yes.
Thank you.
I just following up, seems to be the credit of the state of Connecticut. Investors would be more willing to invest in the state of Connecticut rather than town of New River. Doesn't that has an appeal, that state price?
There's such an uncertainty with the USDA. We just, we have to hang on until, and then we're not even sure that we would get the financing. So that really kind of bothers me. And of course, they're only going to do the end financing, and then we have to get the initial financing from, when we were meeting with Liberty and Guilford
And the bankers we were chatting with were looking for that commitment from the USDA to give
Yes, of
us
course.
money.
Yeah, and you can't
to
blame
give
them for that.
comfort
That's
that they
right.
will be
Because that's how they're
getting
gonna be paid
But all
out.
it's getting complicated.
Yeah.
And I'd like to have somebody who does this all the time answer these
I
questions.
think it's a great idea.
Great idea.
Thank you. All right, well, I shall proceed on that.
Oh,
Lori.
we have a
Well, the
motion, we don't
motion on
have
the
a
floor.
motion.
What's that? Oh, we didn't vote on that? All those in favor of hiring a consultant,
second it?
municipal
Yes.
financial
Second.
consultant, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, it passes. Thank you. Now, Carol, you wish to be part of this conversation, discussion. I will wait till we get to number 7, say you.
Yes, I think the general consensus of the Board of Selectmen when we sat through that presentation with the consultant was that we do think we should opt into that tag on, or what was it called?
Yeah,
Tag on.
he calls it a tag.
You know, to lock in the price and be prudent that way, to save money in the long run. So we were in favor of moving that forward as quickly as possible, get the fire trucks ordered.
Can you sign that, Carol, now before they get bonding? How does that work? It's gone before the town meeting,
I thought I had to have money in hand, or money,
so the clock's really ticking then.
oh, you asked the auditors about that? Well, then I'll just be signed.
She can sign?
She can sign.
Can
She has
sign.
authorization from the town through the budget
Yeah.
referendum,
Oh,
or through the referendum.
yeah. Okay.
So the selectmen are in favor of it, or they voted to waive the bidding requirement?
We're in favor of waiving that, if that is something that we can do procedurally with our, the way our ordinance is written now. We can't do that until this passes the town?
It would be better
It would
if
be
that
better.
passed first,
Okay.
but that's a tight timeline too, so.
Could you present them both at a town meeting?
Oh, exactly. We could do
Okay.
it all at once, and I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think most residents would agree with the rationale behind it. The fact that we'll be saving upwards of maybe $100,000 if we drag our feet. We're gonna be paying more, and we're gonna get that different vehicle, which is unproven, you know.
Does your resolution give the selectmen the authority to waive a
Yes,
one-year-old?
it would be encompassed under the exemptions from the advertising and sealed bids.
That means.
Purchases where the purchase of an item or service is meant to match an existing installation or equipment.
Okay. So that's what we wanted to add to that discussion.
It does, blending both conversations.
And that was.
It means we may begin to sign trucks before we have
Money.
actually gotten financing.
Are you concerned with that as a risk?
Mhm.
You have a serious face.
Sure, certainly I'm concerned. And let's put the word risk associated with it, yeah. If you sign a contract, person producing it on the other side expects to be paid. We have no dollars to pay for it. I'm very confident somebody will loan us money in some fashion, but when we sign it, we won't. And because there is such a long lead time before any dollars will be obligated to pay, it almost seems prudent to do.
And the consultant spoke to that too, that it's almost prudent to sign the contract, wait about 4 months before going out and finding your financing and getting all of that
He
solidified.
did say 4 months, didn't he? But if these things are taking 4 years.
So the first payment would be once the
chassis.
chassis is built, and that he said the timeline for that, I think, would be 12 to 18 months. And that payment would be $689,000 according to that contract. So it wouldn't be for the full amount.
I was just thinking that the wait could be even longer, but to be determined. How about if we agree on that one? Okay, good. All right, excellent. It is, okay. Let us, what do we have here? Police Department, budget, all right, special fund. And that is Anne Marie is going to start that.
Yes, so I put together, during the last fiscal year, y'all voted to create a special fund to sort of segregate the revenue that the police brings in for their, we call them road jobs, when they are sitting out by some sort of a construction site, directing traffic and maintaining safety in that area. My office sends the companies that bring the police in an invoice for their time. And it was agreed upon that we would move those revenues into this other fund, in addition to the monies earned by our officers while doing those jobs, the applicable payroll tax, and a percentage to represent the gas and vehicle maintenance that comes with those vehicles being placed at those jobs. So if you take a look at the table I sent out for the 23-24 fiscal year, the net earnings essentially were about $10,000, $9,717.31. In the current fiscal year, the rate that we pay our officers increased slightly, but the rate that we charge outside companies increased more significantly. In addition to the fact that I'm sure you've seen, Frontier has basically set up a residence in the town of Deep River. We have charged them over $110,000 this fiscal year alone since July. So I caution you in that this is probably not a normal cadence, but it does bring the total in this fund to about $58,000 at this point in time.
And we share, when we started this, I suggested to this committee that from time to time, this committee would take money out to reimburse the town for repairs, gas, insurance. But you have preempted my recommendation. You have been doing that, correct? So that $58,000 is net of those obligations.
Yes. My understanding, there was some discussion this was going to go towards the purchase of the next vehicle.
I believe we left it open to equipment, but police-related purchases, yes.
Is there an action we need to do here?
No, I think it's informational. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, curiosities?
Just a couple. Are the police, do they get benefits or do they get more because of the time they work? So, and is that included in here with salaries? For example, if they're part-time and they work more hours or overtime, all that's included? And all their benefits for those that have it? Okay.
I think most of them are part-time, so they don't get benefits, is that correct? Although following Jackie, do they ever work part-time to such an extent that they become a full-time? Almost become?
You can make the argument, and I'm once again going to disclaim that I am not an HR person, and so I do not feel qualified to make that call.
But you have not started to put them into the pension fund
No.
or pay health insurance? Okay. Which is the intention, correct? It
Right.
seemed logical.
Those would be the monetary benefits there.
It seemed logical.
And you've got vehicle maintenance, but what about wear and tear on the vehicles because they're sitting there running?
That's the vehicle maintenance. That's what that.
But that's
is
just the
supposed to be.
repairs of it.
No, this is not. These are not representative of specific invoices related to this. This is a percentage based on the amount of time that they're spending out on the job.
Okay. So this really covers all the costs?
It should.
Okay, that's
Where
great.
do you put those numbers? When we look at the budget, do we see the numbers you bring in?
So when I pay for, we'll use gas as an example, I pay the entire bill out of the fuel, oil, and gas line in the general fund. When I book the entry to recognize the expenses related to these jobs into this fund, I decrease the amount of expenses hitting in the general fund. Can't imagine.
Seems logical. Thoughts, concerns, anyone?
No, this is wonderful, thank
Seems like it's
you.
moving in the right direction. That is, that's quite an accumulation in one
It's
year.
unbelievable. Steve has been in my office asking, do you think we have at least 15,000? And I said, yeah, we probably have about that.
What would be some examples of police-related purchases?
I would have to go back and look at exactly what the vote was there, but I know that we left it open to equipment and vehicles. So vehicles are fairly obvious, but in regard to equipment, when, for example, a new vehicle is purchased, it has to be outfitted with quite a bit of additional equipment. But I don't think it particularly limited it to vehicle-related equipment either. But I would leave it to Trooper Kraus to speak more to that.
The last vehicle we bought was in 2022, and that was about $68,000. I would anticipate a 15 to 20% increase in cost since then. In fact, just for one quote for the electronics that go in the car, excluding the lights and siren, that kind of stuff, it's somewhere around $15,000 just for a modem and the computer and all the antennas and what have you. And the last quote I got for the vehicle, including lights and all the setup inside, excluding the electronic equipment, was about $60,000. And that was in August, and I would anticipate.
So equipment would be to, specifically to outfit a car?
So whatever future purchases the town would require for law enforcement respectively. I wouldn't limit it to that. If there's some brand new system that comes out, for instance, there is a new AI built program that incorporates cameras and can be used for locating stolen cars and that kind of thing. I wouldn't limit it to not using that, right? We could potentially purchase that kind of equipment from that source, but right now my focus is we have an aging fleet, which needs to be replaced because we're spending a lot of money on vehicle maintenance. And our oldest car right now is 11 years old. So that's kind of where my focus is currently.
Thank you.
So this $117,000 spent year to date for the 24-25, how many hours of police time approximately? Is that like 1.5 FTEs worth of time with my?
I would have to do the math.
I guess the only reason I'm asking is because, I know that it's been our focus and where we put our money is to have more police presence in town. And I just wonder if there's this many more hours out of town are we taking away from patrolling in town?
Now, currently, we did just have 2 resignations, so we need to hire somebody else. But with manpower, if we have a full complement of officers, it should be taken away from that at all.
So how many hours a week are the officers spending on the road in town, would you say, right now?
It depends on their position. If you're full-time, it's at least 40. If you're part-time, it's under 30, above 20, depending upon what their availability is.
So a few years ago, we'd wanted 16 hours a day. How much of that would you say is being utilized now?
Right now, again, we are short-staffed, so not the 16 hours a day. If we were to hire another officer, we would be at about that.
So do we need to cut back on this type of work in order to keep the amount of community policing happening at the rate we want to?
No,
We do not.
no. This is, the reason we're out there is that it's a public safety issue. The reason we hire officers for these road jobs is that there is work being done in the roadway and it's a hazard, right? So if there's say a Comcast truck parked in your driveway and they're working on the lines, they don't hire us. If they're in the roadway, that's when they hire us. And that's a concern not only for the crew that's doing the work, but also the citizens driving about town. So that's why we hire an officer. If you're blocking the roadway, you need an officer there directing you which way to go so that there's no accidents.
I guess following up from Jackie's question, I'm still wondering if that officer could be hired from somebody else by Frontier or Verizon.
Your numbers, you looking?
The question is, are we getting our community work?
Yes.
You answered it yes, but I just wondered, are we getting it done as well, or would we get more community engagement patrolling happening if other towns got that and we didn't get the money?
Okay, so currently our officers are limited as to how much they can work because some of them are part-time. So if they go over the 30 hours a week on patrol, then they become full-time employees and we have a higher obligation to pay them. We have to pay them benefits, right?
We do. That, I don't know that that answers my question. I don't know if this is the time or place to have this discussion. I think this is a great report. We learned a lot. Maybe we want to do a deeper dive on the trade-off between community engagement and funding of these projects. And I didn't mean to hijack your meeting here, Bud.
Good questions. And to your point, this may not be the spot, but certainly they are important.
In the budget
I think
cycle,
it should
perhaps.
be maybe better placed in the budget. All right? All right. All right, $58,000, and do not expect that every year.
But can I just dive a little bit deeper just for half a
Please,
second in there?
yes, take
Just
your
for the
time.
sake of clarity, because I think I got it. But, so if I'm an officer and I'm working 30 hours a week in Deep River, just so that we can clear this up. They get a road job for, I don't know, what's your typical road job with Frontier? How many hours?
6 to 8.
So let's say it's and how many road jobs per week might an officer grab?
It entirely varies based on how many are available, but
Yeah.
2, maybe in the middle of summer, maybe 4.
All right, so let's say I take two, I'm an officer working for you, I take 2 8-hour road jobs, and it's, you know, whatever. Now, that comes out of my 30 hours?
No.
It doesn't, so that's above and beyond 30 hours?
Right.
So you're saying in those 30 hours, they're dedicated solely to Deep River, in theory, if your direction was to work in community policing. So now they go up to 46 hours with the overtime.
Right, but how...
I know those numbers aren't realistic.
Yeah, how we're calculating it is the amount of hours that you work in patrol is
Yep.
under 30 hours, 20 to 30
Yeah.
something there. And then any additional hours you work, that's overtime.
Yep.
That's not towards your original.
So just, I think, does that clarify, like, so they're still engaging in whatever it is directed towards Deep River as far as community engagement or wherever we need for public safety?
Correct, they're still working the
And
patrol
not
function of the
taking-
town of Deep River.
Okay,
Yeah.
does that help?
So they're still doing the 30 hours in town at work. But if they take a job doing a road job, it's above and beyond
yeah,
that.
if I have
And it's
that.
not on their work week time. So they're being paid for 30 hours of actual work.
That's my
In town.
understanding based on,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Although, did we not find in last year's budget, and for a while in this year's budget, they were not working?
We've only spent 31% of the budget, which is why I was asking.
My chunk only gets...
Well, a lot of that is state trooper. When you look at the
Thank you,
bottom line.
thank you, that explains
If
it.
you look at full-time and part-time, there seems to be, they weren't, it was low. Now it seems to be about where the budget should be. Suggesting that we are paying overtime to some of these folks. I can't, that's my math, but I'm not sure it's the correct math. Are we asking people who didn't work 30 hours to work more than 30 hours now? How did the budget get back to where it basically is? Why were we below? Now we're back to full.
We brought on Sean.
We have brought on Sean and we lost Chris.
But that just
also
happened.
We have had some other enforcement initiatives in town, and
That was required overtime, or?
yes.
And with new officers, which has to be done, or you call them constables or deputies, whatever, you have to give them uniforms and equipment, correct?
That is correct.
Which I see,
Also,
the budget numbers are almost used.
yeah, and there are also replaceable items such as body armor that needs to be replaced on a, it would take 5 years. So you can't have anything more than 5 years old per the U.S. Department of Justice.
I assume they make improvements in the body armor, don't they, or two? They claim they do, they just charge one.
It's still as unbreathable as ever.
It's not made of lead anymore.
I always think when people get shot and they fall down, you get back up. I don't want anybody getting shot or getting back up. I do want them getting back up. All right, it is, does anyone have, let us do a review of scheduled dates. Anne Marie, do you want to leave that? You and Jackie have worked things out. No?
Let's see if I
These are
remember off the top
workshop
of my head.
days?
Workshop dates, yes. And hearing dates, full-fledged hearing dates. We start in March, help you out. We will start in March. You are still working, still assembling in February. But we will start
Correct.
first week of March. That is our,
Yes.
or if necessary, the end of February.
That is correct. For anyone who wants to see the budget workshop dates, just so you know, they are posted on the Board of Finance website
they were.
and the regular meeting schedule. So those budget workshop dates are all on Tuesdays at 7 p.m.
Correct.
March 4th, March 11th, March 18th, April 1st, April 8th, April 15th, and April 29th.
April what, 21?
29.
When do you have the public hearing?
April 30th.
April 30th, okay. And the public meeting is set by statute, but May 15th, 16th, was it something?
The third Monday in May, right? Hold on, I have an email of all this.
4/11.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 meetings.
What are they, 11th, the 18th?
Again, when we had to post the schedule, they were all, put them out there, so yes. They've been out there, whatever the required meeting time is.
The 4th was the first one.
Let's step back from the dates of meetings. Have you begun, no, where are you in the sequence of asking all those who should give us numbers?
They have been asked. They have been providing,
Okay,
possibly not all.
okay. They have been provided to you, or the request has been provided?
Both.
Both.
Yes, no, people have been pretty good about sending me stuff and asking questions. I've had a few people want to sit with me and kind of go through things in more detail. I just unfortunately have not had the time to dedicate to it, so February will be the month of the budget and the audit for me.
That is interesting. In years gone by, they have come to this meeting and participated. Are you and Carol stepping in, taking some of that off of our plate, using all these standard phrases?
When you say this meeting, are you referring to a Board of Finance
Yes,
meeting or a
yes,
budget
I-
workshop?
A budget workshop with the Board of Finance.
I would still expect people to appear at those meetings as they see fit. I can already tell you that the Board of Education folks will be appearing April
Always
8th.
wish to come, correct.
And I will be reaching out to department heads as I have the time to dedicate to looking at their numbers to ask questions. If it's a reasonable enough story and in line with our expectations, I'm not going to suggest to them that they come, but I have a feeling that there will be many questions and requests this year, so.
To us, the Board of Finance, or to you?
Tomato, tomato.
I'm just curious whether conversation with you can say to them, there's no reason for you to go to the Board of Finance.
Yes,
Some
and
people just
yes, I am your
prefer-
buffer, if that is what you're
That
asking.
is what I was looking for. Okay, now, Ms. Jackie has requested
Yes.
that we ask everyone for who uses their services.
Uses their what?
So I think my question was, is if their budgets are gonna go up and they're coming here, I would like some stats or data to demonstrate and document why they need what they need, rather than just kind of a feel-good presentation.
Yes.
Is to really know more specifics, because I think it's gonna be a tough budget year, so it'd be helpful to have concrete data.
Yeah, and I agree, we should certainly be moving in that direction. I think by impressing that on people this year, it might be a rocky start, but hopefully get the right thoughts in their head going forward.
So in your conversations, correspondence, you will at least put them in the direction of satisfying Jackie's curiosity?
Yes.
Is it just mine?
Well, and
I think we would all love that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yes, and Jackie and I have spoken about this as well, and I have no problem sending a memo out to those who are tasked with putting together their own budgets, making these suggestions so that they know what to expect as far as your line of inquiry.
And just an example, and I'll pick on the library because they're not here, but at last week's presentation, they mentioned they were going to need more money because more things are electronic. Electronic books, and, people are looking for more of the digital stuff. So I would just want, if we're going to increase the budget, a little bit of data behind everybody's using it versus this is what we need, and these are the stats behind it and why we're asking for this.
Right.
If it comes to that.
Sure.
All good? All right, shall we glance at the new budget report? Before we go too far, does anyone have any specific, use our time specifically? That's and that, let's just go. Now, to Anne Marie's earlier point, revenues are first. We say revenues just come in second. Our revenues are all identified with a negative. So when you get to the bottom line, the negatives revenue will be netted against expenses positive. I don't know how useful that is, but it is a noble goal idea. Revenues seem to be coming in well, and Tom pointed that out to us. Certainly the main work is the property taxes. Anne Marie and I have already chatted. I would like that line item extended a bit so that it is not truncated in the name, but we will work on that one. Let's look at some of the property taxes in arrear. We've over-collected already. Motor vehicles, we've under-collected. Interest, we have over-collected. All good things. I shall not stop at each one. Building permits, we have over-collected our estimated building permits. That is interesting. People are putting additions on the side of their houses, I guess in the town of Deep River, that's the way I would turn. And if you look at conveyance taxes, we have over-collect now. I guess we're slightly under on conveyance, but this is only the 7th month. This is not selling season. People are buying in the town of Deep River.
I'm just wondering if on all these permits, if it has anything to do with the online permitting process, speeding things up, not specifically in building, but in some of the other categories.
An excellent question.
Making it easier for citizens to use it and contractors and
An
everybody
excellent
else.
question. We shall, keeping Jackie's spirit, we'll ask that question. So we now go to, is there anything else in revenues you'd like to look at? Park and Rec, I continue to wonder. We have assumed that they will generate revenues, and they don't. Recycling fees are coming in above budget. And once again, we should stop and thank Tom for all of his hard work. Yes, look at that. $156,000 he has collected. All right, let's go to selectmen. It is the 7th month. If you spent on a straight line basis, which I guess for salaries you do, you would be about 58% used. We do sort of switch criteria for that last column. It is used when we get to expenditures. We have used 57% of the selectmen's. We have used 60% of selectmen's assistant. And Anne Marie has shared with me, when you get to expense allowance, you think you need more, we need more information. There's an over expenditure in that one, and that will be, we'll continue, we'll look at that one.
Yeah, some medical expenses were accidentally booked there.
No kidding, okay, well, we will deal with that. You will deal with that.
I will deal with that.
You will deal with that. And Carol, just out of habit, you have virtually spent most of your, I exaggerated with that description, you have spent a lot of your engineering fees. Here we are in the 7th. Seems to me engineering fees would be spread in the spring. Are you concerned you have adequate engineering fees that we may need to address?
We may need to address that. Yeah.
Okay.
What are they for, engineering services?
Well, we had, right now we have Jacobson doing a lot of work at Platwood Park, where we had the grant. We had, turned out we had a problem with the well, so we're kind of trying to get to the bottom of that. We also asked him to do a better look at some of the sidewalk areas that we want to put in a grant for, so we need to have more specific specs for those. He is kind of working on our direction to get that information so we can apply for the grant.
So did we not apply for a grant for sidewalks coming from Route 9 down?
I recall maybe the former administration talking about it, but I don't.
Okay.
I thought we had money for a grant, not to go all the way out to Route 9, but I know part of that.
So we all agree, we talked about it. We do not know whether we got that grant. It was a small cities grant or something, wasn't it?
I thought we did.
I'll have to look. I haven't seen any record of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen any.
I mean, the goal was to
emails
go all the way out to
telling us
Route
that we
9, but I know we didn't have enough money, but I'm 95% sure that we got a small grant.
I thought we did.
To do part of it.
We're trying to get grant to finish down to the landing and then do maybe here in the village, up by the town green, or on the other side of the road, stuff like that. So.
Oh, good. All right.
And I want to just point out, so my assistant's salary is a little up because she put in a lot of time. She was the OSHA point person, and she put a lot of time in to make sure we had all our I's dotted and T's crossed with all those things that came in. So she worked very hard at that. So just give a shout out to Tina for doing that. And I think that's where the extra hours came in.
That is noble.
Yeah.
Do you expect that line item will then go over?
It might, but she's, I've talked to her, so she knows to kind of, to watch it, and then if we have a problem where it's gonna go over some week or something, but
Okay.
I guess we'll just see how it carries on, but it might go over by a little, since she's up a little now.
All right. So now, while we're
Question
chatting.
on a line item, what is economic development in this selectman's office?
That's we
That's
have an Economic Development
That's
Commission.
not the Economic Development Commission, is it?
Yes, it is any dollars.
Isn't that a
labeled
separate commission?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's always set in that group.
Because of how small it is, we put it in the selectmen's budget.
It's been in.
Same with sustainability. Isn't that in there as well?
Yeah.
We put small ones in selectmen's budget. All right, I shall. But if you look at bottom line for selectmen, I think you're right on budget, so, well, we chatted about each one of them, so, 60%, so that seems about right. Elections, I always pause for elections, always mysterious, we have one election left, probably have a referendum, so they should do fine. Town clerk's fine, I will not continue this, to call out everything and say something insightful.
Before you go on, the early voting under the elections, does that, are those the people who work for the early voting? That's their pay?
Yes.
Salary? Okay.
And if Anne Marie's explaining, she probably would do a better job explaining, but anyone who worked in, is it 2 weeks prior? You put in that line item?
Yeah, any day that was not actually election
Anyone who
day.
worked on election day is up above. Town clerk's fine, finance is fine, Anne Marie has not yet made her payment for the new software. Has not made her annual payment to the software. All right. Assessor.
What happened to the town clerk? Is that 100%? Did we cover that?
So that's their grant that they
Yes.
receive for scanning documents. So they've spent
Okay.
it in its
Thank you.
entirety. Yeah.
I'm having trouble clicking on things here. Board of Finance, you will note that the Board of Finance, that's us, we have paid to the auditors as billed. We will, Anne Marie will in turn, let's say we funded it out of our budget. Anne Marie will, when the audit is over, you will charge that to the elementary school and to the WPCA. So you should not be concerned we are bad examples.
We were making note of that, Bud.
Let's stop at building and what's the name of it? Building officer. He is over, salary is over. If you remember, he is doing a lot of work. Is he doing or has he done a lot of work at the school? We did not take a moment to look at the revenues he is generating. What is it, about $150,000, $160,000 of revenue? So you will see that his total budget is well below what he has brought in. I'm going to just keep on going here. And again, anyone who sees something they're interested in, but I'm going to use my 58-60% criteria.
But on the inland wetlands, why is their part-time cleric so high? They don't meet more than we do.
You know what? I thought they didn't spend anything.
They haven't.
They haven't yet.
They haven't. They've got
Do
the
they
budget.
have a cleric? And they had $3,000 budgeted?
They do have a clerk. She only tends to bill me once or twice a year.
She what?
She only tends to submit bills to us once or twice a year.
Actually, there was some bad habits developed in that department over the years, isn't there? Okay, not surprising. So, Carmel, what was your question? Why isn't?
Well, it's higher than, say, our secretary, our clerk would be, with $1,500. And we meet every
okay.
month, and that's $3,000.
Okay, excellent point. Carol, you're going to participate in this conversation. Did not you lead us in a conversation in the budget that all secretaries would be paid at a certain rate, and we would make an assumption that everyone would meet a certain amount of times a year? So we attempted to provide consistency with salary numbers in all departments.
We did when we were advertising for a recording secretary for Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen. We came
Yes.
up with a.
Was that the only one it applied to? It did not apply to all departments?
Well, at the time, we were the only two looking for a secretary, so but it can be definitely something we carry across, excuse me, all these other boards and commissions, for sure. So.
Okay, everything just says accurate. I actually thought we did carry it across, but okay. So, Carmel's point is valid. Town hall operations, this is where we will go to a town meeting and restore your building funds, correct?
Hopefully, yeah.
I'm having a hard time going down here.
Why are our sewer fees at 100%?
We pay them all.
All at one lump sum?
Can I just ask a question about the report real quick while you're scrolling down? If you click on anything, it brings you to somewhere else. So is that your behind the scenes where all your data is?
So when I click it, it actually opens stuff.
Gotcha.
It puts you in some strange world.
Yeah, it
do not
does. I
recognize
did by
what it
accident.
is.
It's like, oh, it needs a password, it needs this. I just wondered what was behind it.
But it is really handy, so if someone were to call me and ask a question, I could click in here and get all of the
Okay.
detail. Yeah.
That is good. Just puts me in a strange world.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, you need to have like a login into our
Yes,
social.
don't, that's exactly. Who's behind that curtain? I don't know.
It's okay, just remain angry. It's all right.
I keep clicking by accident.
Yeah,
So
he's clicking.
All right. Is anyone, Anne Marie, Carol, are you concerned about the town hall budget and the biggest concern would be restoring your buildings, correct? Everything else seems okay?
Telecom will be a problem, it always is. Electricity has gone up quite a bit as well.
Yeah, electricity is.
So you've got let's see, you've got 65% used, which would encourage your thought, and I bet you that's got a lag of at least a month in it, doesn't it? All right. We may revisit that or intentionally go over. Special services, I see I see. Oh, here's the contingency that I brought up a moment ago. We have in special services a contingency, and we budgeted 10, we spent 15. That is the rented pumps, which Anne Marie will chat about next month. Now, did we talk enough about police department to satisfy our curiosities?
I wasn't sure, what is that, it's above 100% for special, what are we on that? The item,
Full-time officer?
supervisors, miscellaneous, I think it's supervisory, 131%.
It's miscellaneous supplies.
Of supplies, so we're high.
Yes.
Where are we back up in the town hall?
We're in police protection.
Police protection.
There we've got police protection, 31% left. And that was Jackie's point, but much of that is driven by the fact we do not pay for the resident trooper, the largest number, until the end of the year. Okay. Let's say the following. Full-time officers, 59, we answered the question. There is situations in town that require, particularly the full-time officer, okay? The part-time officer seems to be about where he should be, as is crossing guard. All right, and we chatted miscellaneous supplies and training is virtually spent.
What are miscellaneous supplies?
Steve, take it. What is miscellaneous supplies? What do you charge to miscellaneous supplies?
So,
Miscellaneous stuff.
for instance, this tourniquet right next to my firearm, we had to purchase a couple of those. We had to purchase for OSHA some sharps containers for vehicles, just basically anything that doesn't fall into training or any other, anything else that can be actually.
So would that be ammunition and
Ammunition's usually under
guns
training.
and all that sort of thing?
That's usually under training.
What?
That's usually under training.
Guns are under
did-
training?
Ammunition.
Ammunition.
We did purchase 2 new firearms this year, so that was under miscellaneous. That was all of it.
Since we're in January, we to assume that you're going to overexpend those budgets?
We're in a pretty good spot.
In January, you're in a good spot, and you go all the way to June, you'll think you're in a good spot?
I think
That's a
I've
good answer, by the way. I'm encouraging you to change it.
No, I think I've anticipated most of our expenses. If there is something that comes about, I'll definitely notify Carol and Marie and you guys, but
Okay.
as of right now, we seem to be in a good place.
No, if there's anything major, you will talk to Carol and she will chat with us. Excellent, done. All right, town hall. Fire department is doing, they deserve a pat on the back. They're not spending any money, which is grand. I assume that is not a permanent situation, but they're doing grand. Highway department is also amazingly low. And that is because, and Marie will correct me, we are waiting till spring to spend our town aid road. And we've only spent, looks like we spent most of what the town contributes, right? Town aid road, the 197 from the town, state?
197 is from the state. We've
We
spent.
have not spent any of that. We have spent the 200, well, only 98, a half of the, what the town has spent. So that will be our spring work. Correct? That is good. Public utilities and people about highway department and
Waste removal, why are we so
anyone else? People
low
there?
on bulky waste? Is that timing?
Anyone else? And school seems to be right on budget. I was commenting where I thought the regional school was a little high. But when do they bill you? I bet you may have that. Are they billing? Is February payment in here? It's just they're about 60%. I assume it just looks a little high.
We're out of sync with you.
Oh, I was speaking. No, that's because I speeded up.
I have a
There's no
question
sequencing.
under waste removal on bulky waste. We're only at 17.5%. I mean, I know we've got all this problem with waste expenses. Is that timing of payment, or have we just really done a good job with our bulky waste? I mean, how could that be?
Timing of payment.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wishful thinking.
Good. What is the number you gave, Catherine?
Bulky waste, and we're.
Oh, I got the last item here.
17.5%.
We've budgeted 130, and we spent 22, is your,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
Even in mirror tipping fees.
Mm.
In the transfer station, the salaries are a bit high. That's because we've got town crew people working on weekends, so I guess that is logical to somebody.
Well, is it? Are they getting time and a half
I believe
with all of
that.
this? Is that
I can,
something
yes,
we
is
should
my
be looking
understanding, but I shall leave that up to Carol and Anne Marie to comment further.
Yeah, we are looking at that.
Yes. How are the stickers working out?
Great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
People doing it, getting their stickers and being checked and all that?
Yeah, we've given out quite a lot of stickers, more than usual.
Good.
We're over 1,000. And the town clerk will be open this Saturday, 9 to 1.
Yeah, I saw that in your note. Yeah, Saturday, is it? Yeah.
So,
If you live out of state, I just happened to follow someone who had a New York license plate out of the transfer station on Saturday. Can they get, if they live, and it's very possible people spend their weekends in Deep River and not go and check his window. I assume there's no,
we
you
have a
don't
lot
have to say, I live in Deep River.
We have a lot of exemptions that are, like somebody leases a vehicle, or it's a company vehicle, or it's registered to the company, which is in a different town or something, but they're a Deep River resident and they pay property taxes. And there's a lot of, the town clerk's done a great job of figuring out the exceptions that are out there, So we're trying
Makes
to
sense.
hit all those to make our residents comfortable, or, least hassle to go up there.
Again, I am accelerating. Does anyone wish to stop anywhere along the line?
What is Middlesex Hospital?
It's a paramedic program. So every town pays $1 a resident to get the paramedics to come to the town, because they don't charge the town for their services. They bill the patients. But this
They actually
offsets-
service people in town.
Right,
I see.
because it's a intercept service.
Mhm.
So if you call an ambulance and it meets a higher level of care,
Mhm.
a paramedic will come and start caring for you in the ambulance, start IVs, intubate you,
Okay.
et cetera, et cetera.
I thought we were paying them a fee for something.
So it's for the town to get that service.
Are you aware that any towns that do not pay?
No, they all pay. And everyone pays, and it still does not cover the cost of the paramedics. It's still probably over $1 million to the hospital to support that program.
I couldn't figure that.
Yeah. I am finished, and I will point to you at, Anne Marie seems to be willing to celebrate. Way at the bottom of this line, we have revenues with a negative, expenses are positive, and you get some indication of, here's the amount of dollars we have collected to date, here's the amount of expenses we have incurred to date. I just caution resistance to you putting a heavy reliance on those numbers.
Until the year's
Correct.
closed.
But it is good to collect more revenues than expenses. The budget suggests that is not going to be true. And to that point, auditors are in. Auditors are working. They will confirm your assumption on surplus from last year soon. I was actually looking for a better answer than that, so, okay. All right, everyone. That finishes the exciting part of the meeting. Does anyone have anything else they would like to discuss under new business? Old business? Hearing none, we will meet next week unless there are emergencies. Next week?
Next week?
Let's keep this momentum going. Next month. I apologize to you.
But could
We'll meet next month.
could I say something?
Yes.
Just a couple of points of interest. The current tanker truck has a couple pretty significant issues last week at the fire in Old Saybrook, which has put it out of service probably indefinitely. The good thing is that the new tanker is almost completed. The committee, 3 committee members and the consultant will be flying out in a couple weeks to Michigan to spend 2 days going over that truck and making sure it was built the way that the specifications have set forth to. So they will be spending some time going over that truck from front to back to make sure it was done exactly the way the specifications say, and then it will make its trip from Michigan to the dealer in Rhode Island and then get some upfitting done there. Our radio vendor will get some time with it, we'll get some training. So we will be probably a minimum of 2 months without a tanker. Our mutual aid partners are all aware of it, the dispatch center is aware of it to make the adjustments to all the automatic mutual aid stuff. Not only for our own town, but the automatic mutual aid that that piece of equipment provides for the towns around us. So that's what's going on with that. The engine from Winthrop Station, which is a 2004, is in for preventative maintenance. Like all of them are going to be going in over the next several weeks, in and out preventative maintenance. That one's got some additional issues which will entail it staying there for a longer period of time. We probably won't see that truck until the end of next week. So currently our mutual aid partners are aware that we're down to just the 2 engines. So the old 1989 is first due out of Winthrop Station right now, with the brand new one downtown, and of course the ladder, rescue truck, that type of stuff. So just bringing you up to speed of where that's at. That's all.
Where do you take a fire truck for maintenance? Is there a special fire truck maintenance stores?
There's a few. Currently, we use the vendor that actually built the last truck. We've had some issues with others and things that we found after trucks were maintained. We've got a very good relationship with the Gallons Night company that built the last truck for doing vehicle maintenance on not only that last truck they built, but all of the fleet. It really helps us out too, because they have a service where they will send a driver right to either station and leave a vehicle there. They pick the truck up, they take it to their facility, they do the maintenance on it, they return it. Whereas before, we would, Tom and I for a long time would get up early before work. Here I would drive a truck to whoever was doing the service on it, leave it, and then have to go back and get it when it was done, that type of stuff. So it really helps out with having them come and pick the equipment up. We don't have to take time away from work and whatnot to get it delivered. So it really helps.
And they have to do it there, they can't do it here, they can't, do they change, I assume they gotta change the oil, just like I have to change my oil.
There's a lot more to it. They get into the pumps, they pump water with these things, they do pump testing with them, so it's a lot more involved than just changing, oil and filters. They have a pretty significant list that they go through with every piece to make sure it is ready, 100% ready to go.
Annual brake inspections, annual Department of Transportation, road safety stuff, it's all done, and all documented, it's all, and the fire side of it is all NFPA requirements, pump testing and such, so.
They list it all out on their bills. Each bill is at least 3 pages long. Yeah.
That is good. This is good. All right, anyone, can I hear a motion for adjournment? So moved. Second. Thank you. All those in favor? Say aye. Those opposed? Thank you, everybody. See you next week.